Walk up in this shit like Will. Now you on me, get you killed. That's a metaphor for the skill. Ain't no metaphor for the real. Under influence of the pill. Majority of rappers on the bill. Bullshit raps I don't feel. Y'all the main course on the meal. Followers be up in the mills. Probably got a house up on the hills. Probably getting a lot of riches, a lot of whips, and I can barely manage how to pay the bills. But I still be up in the studio. And my son eating good, so nutritional. Wish I could follow suit, but I tell it to the crew. So I gotta hate these rappers, I just let them know. Everybody know me. 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 Everybody know me.
Yeah, what is going on, everybody? It is yours truly, the Ace, here with episode 9 of the series finale. And I got a special guest on with me, Jason from 161. How you doing, my dude?
Pretty good, brother. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all, man. I appreciate you anytime you get to come on. Jason's a good dude, man. One of the OGs in the Yankee community. So make sure you guys go sub up to him. His link is in the description. So go ahead and show him some love. I appreciate you, especially for coming on, because I know this is the time that you normally do your post game. So I appreciate you for coming on here.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's nice when we can get the brooms out too, and sweep the team. You know what's crazy? The Yankees are one of 3 teams in baseball that have not been swept yet this season.
That's true.
Yankees, Mets, and Cincinnati Reds. So it's nice to be on that side of it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I thought we would have definitely came close in that Dodger series, but luckily the Yankees were able to pull that out. So yeah, we're one of the young teams. So offense is looking pretty good, and we're going to talk all about it. But I want to give a shout out to everybody in the building. Make sure you guys hit that like if you're new to the channel. Hit that subscribe. Make sure you have that notification button rung so you'll be notified whenever I drop anything, whenever Jason drops anything Yankee related, anything movie related from your boy. You know, we're right here for you guys. Bird was the first person in the building today. Appreciate you, Bird. So I'm doing this competition, Jason, right? For the first person in the live streams, in the Yankee live streams, the play-by-plays, the winner will get themselves a customized Ace Avenue hat. I think Bird popped into this one thinking it was the other one. So no, it doesn't count, unfortunately. So that's a little competition I'm doing right there. Shout out to Daniel Berry Sports Highlight.
I like it. Again? Saving the best for first. I like it. It's the other way around. Yeah,
exactly. Madison, Roscoe, Jacob, thank you for popping in. What's up, man? Real Bill, Joel Consigliano. Joe, appreciate you for being a member for 1 month. Appreciate that. Hey to Ace and the Boss. That's a good nickname right there, the Boss.
That's the Consiglietti right there. That's the Tom Hagen. He's the Tom Hagen.
Oh yeah,
one right there.
He's the OG, definitely. Yeah. So, like you had alluded to, Yankees bring out the brooms. You know what I'm saying? We're not even going to sugarcoat it. This was a series, the ALDS rematch. Now, it's easy to forget that these two teams did face off in the postseason. It was the first round. Yankees handled their business. Trying to do the same thing in the regular season. First thing we see, Aaron Judge on the bump. Absolutely Aaron Judge out there gets us started with a 2-run home run. We got Max Fried on the hill. Fried has been, the loss stopper. After, losing to the Boston series, which I was absolutely fuming that we lost that series because of, putting out a punt lineup there on Saturday, and, having to go against him today. I hate losing to Boston. So Max Fried came in and absolutely did what he's supposed to do. He is the losing streak stopper. His numbers right after Yankee losses, he's still undefeated. I believe he's only given up like 3 runs total. This guy is doing exactly what we want him to. And Aaron Judge coming out the gate with a 2-run home run. Austin Wells was a standout in this game as well. Had a lot of great at bats. Homer doubled, looked really good. Aaron Judge and Austin Wells. What were your thoughts on not just the offense, because we ended up winning 10-2, but what were your thoughts on Max Fried as well?
I love when Max Fried comes back after a rough game, kind of gets back on track, and then follows it up with another game to get back on track too. He's 9-1 right now, doing exactly what we were needing him to do in Cole's absence. So he's stabilizing. He did the same thing in Atlanta. When Strider went down, Tommy John, he stepped up, held that rotation together. He's doing the same thing here. So I'm very excited with what he's doing for the Yankees. Very excited with Reed, man.
Yeah,
I'll be happy.
absolutely. Seven innings, 6 hits, 2 runs given up, 4 Ks. ERA's at 184. This dude has been truly a godsend. This game was a blowout. Got away, we got on top really early, so we really were in cruise control. I'm looking at a guy like Austin Wells, who Hector and I, and shout out to Hector from Uptown Sports. I got to fill in a couple times for them last week when the lovely Grace Monroe was on vacation, and Hector and I were talking like guys that need to step up. Austin Wells was a guy that needs to step up, and I believe that he heard us. This series was a good series for Austin Wells. What were your take on his performance this series, even though he didn't play today?
I think he's one of the few Yankees right now. He's projected to hit almost like 25 and about 100 RBIs. There's only 2 other catchers that have done that in the Yankees history. Jorge Posada did it once, and Yogi Berra did it 3 or 4 times. So he's in kind of rare air when it comes to Yankees catchers. So I like what I'm seeing from Austin Wells. I like the way he handles the rotation, and I'm very happy with the way he, and just when you think you want to like give him a noogie, he comes up and hits 5 RBIs, he hits a home run or something like that. So he does. Anthony Volpe does the same thing. Just when you think like, oh my God, we gotta see this guy, he comes through with a bunch of hits and RBIs. So I like that they do that, and he's got a good head under his shoulders. He's very composed, either offensively and as a catcher. So I'm happy with Wells, man. I'm very happy with Wells.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a stat that I love, especially being a former catcher. Hector brought this up. He's 3rd in framing, dude. That saves, umpires are terrible, and I was going on an umpire rant. But anytime you can go out there and steal a couple of strikes for your pitchers. Pitchers love that, and pitchers love pitching to you. And, some of these pitchers nowadays, we're starting to see them call their own pitches, but to really be able to trust the catcher goes a long way. And Austin Wells, notoriously slow starter. I don't know what he does in the offseason, but he might need to start a week early or at least a month early in his preparations, because it was around this same time last year where he started heating up. Maybe he gets warm with the weather, which is weird considering that, we play a lot of our spring training games in Tampa. But whatever he's doing, I don't know if he's got to eat a couple extra chicken parm sandwiches, but he's got to start that shit a little bit earlier, because we need this type of production from him, especially at the bottom of the order.
Yeah. And one of the things I've said since the beginning of the year is whoever is leading off or whoever's hitting 7, 8, and 9, we need them to be productive at bats. Whoever's going to be leading off, we need them to be able to drive in 7, 8, 9. Whoever's 7, 8, 9, we need to pick up for 4, 5, and 6. We had trouble this year so far, a little bit, with the 4, 5, and 6 spots. So the 7, 8, 9 have been kind of picking things up recently too. Austin Wells has been occupying those spots. So when he's playing leadoff, he's driven in guys in 7, 8, 9 spots. So I like his versatility, his ability to kind of maneuver around the lineup and still be productive, which I like.
Yeah. We're remind me before, when we get through all the games, let's talk about like the lineups and stuff like that. Remind me after we get through these. But yeah, this was a good win coming out. The Royals are kind of 4th place in the Central after this 3-game losing streak. They're kind of right in no man's land, where Bobby Witt Jr., we held him to 1 hit again in this series. Like, we seem to have his number. Throw all that shit as far as him, Aaron Judge, out the window. I don't ever want to hear it ever again. That he's a better player than Aaron Judge. Bobby Witt Jr., against us at least, does not have that great of numbers. But kudos to the pitching for being able to hold him down, because he is a good ball player, and for us to hold him to 1 run was phenomenal.
Yeah, like he's pesky, he's fast. He does a lot of the things that a lot of Yankees players have not done recently. Plays small ball, manufactures runs, wreaks havoc on the base pass, plays good defense. So, but you're right, the Yankees have been able to neutralize him, and they've been doing a better job recently of neutralizing some of the top players on each team. So, which is something that I'm happy about with this Yankee team that they haven't done in recent years that they're doing now. So I hope that they continue that trend. But yeah, shutting down Bobby Wood, I think, was big. I do think it was big.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was game 1. So we go ahead and move on to game 2. Clark Schmidt on the bump. Clark Schmidt's a guy that a lot of Yankee fans have conversations about him. A lot of Jordan Montgomery comparisons when it comes to Clark Schmidt. He has his ups, he has his downs. This one was one of the ups. Clark Schmidt, 6 innings, 2 hits given up, 7 Ks, 3 walks, got his ERA down, shut him out, up until that last inning where Yankees were in firm control of this ball game right from the second inning. But up until that last inning, you're going against a good pitcher. And here's the thing, you're going against Chris Bubik, who is one of the better lefties, and you had just went against another lefty. My biggest take from this series so far is, remember, last year, what was one of our biggest problems? We couldn't hit left-handed pitching. This time, we went against a good pitcher in the first game who had I think he had like an 8.4 ERA, a .84 ERA, and then Chris Bubik, who had a 1 point something ERA. And we were able to grind out really good at-bats against left-handed pitchers, especially like Austin Wells, the Paul Goldschmidts, stuff like that. Goldschmidt was leading off in both of these ball games. I saw some really good at-bats from the New York Yankees against left-handed pitching. So we're not seeing those same comparisons. Clark Schmidt went out there, had himself a good game. If it wasn't for, some bad defense, a little bit of miscue, stuff like that, we would have had another shutout, and we would have shut this team out twice in a row. What were your thoughts on this performance by Clark Schmidt and our presence this year against the two lefties?
Clark Schmidt shoved. He really, really did. And he gave us what we needed to. And again, Garrett Cole took him under his tutelage like 2 years ago. And, 143. I mean, that's him. And Yankees,
that's good.
Hitting the guys with these low ERAs, they're finding their opportunities, right? And they're taking advantage of these opportunities. I mean, if anybody doesn't know, the Yankees have 10 guys right now with an OPS over 700. 10. And 5 or 6 of them have over an 800. Yankees have not had a team with those types of numbers, and I can't remember when. So it just shows they can patiently attack pitchers and wait on these opportunities when they come. So, and they're doing it against these pitchers. They did it against Garrett Crochet last week. So, doing it against this other kid 2 days ago. They did it even today, and to a different degree, against Seth Lugo, right? And we'll get to that as well. But the Yankees are waiting there for the opportunities to score a lot of runs. And last night too, not only did Clark Schmidt shove, Mark Leiter, people were outraged. But what was it, 3 infield singles that he gave up? So.
One of them was a pop-up that Peraza called off Wells on, and it dropped. You got to let Wells, that's the kind of stuff that doesn't get put in the stat book, because they're going to say it's a hit, but it's really not a hit. And, it's kind of not fair to Mark Leiter Jr., who I think he's had his inconsistencies, but I think he's been solid for us. He's one of the guys that I trust out of our bullpen.
Me too. Which I like. Last night's stats were kind of misleading because he gave up, 2 hits, 3 runs or something like that. So, and immediately looking, you're like, oh, this guy got pounded. But he really didn't get pounded by the bats. It was a couple infield hits, a bloop, and that was pretty much it. And they got him out of there. And then, Tim Hill came and thankfully cleaned it up. So, but I'm back to Clark Schmidt. He's showing me some stuff this year, and I think Max Fried is having an effect on him. And I do think Garrett Cole's still having an effect on him. And I think when Luis Hill comes back, it's going to have another effect on him too. So I think he's going to continue to be a stabilizing force in the rotation. And he's got controllable years, which is something that the Yankees, are valuing, which is good.
Do you see the Yankees moving on from Clark Schmidt, or do you see him keeping him?
The only way I can see them moving on from Clark Schmidt is if they get a big bat or a bigger arm. That's they're not going to move Clark Schmidt for Eugenio Suarez. They're not going to move Clark Schmidt for any of these guys. It doesn't make any sense to, at least in my opinion. And what arm would be available that's worth trading Clark Schmidt for anyway? That would be the first question I'd ask, and I don't know, right? And what bat would be worth trading Clark Schmidt for? Brendan Donovan, but he's not available. I wouldn't move Schmidt for Donovan, but that's Brendan Donovan. The chances of that happening are slim to none. So, aside from that, I think it's a very small percentage that they move on from Schmidt. Do you have a different take on that?
No, I agree. Do I think he'll be a Yankee forever? No, I don't think so. But I do think he has value to this team. I think he's okay as a 3. I think he's good as a 5, a 4, and great as a 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay because when healthy, especially if you look at next year, dude, if you get Cole, Rodon, Fried, Luis Hill, you're asking Max Fried to be your 5th starter, which is good. If you can look, I don't think we'll see Clark Schmidt too heavily when it comes to the rotation in the playoffs, but we need that 5th starter that can get you some good innings to be able to give us a division to be able to get us on a run, which is fine. He's one hell of a great fit starter, and I'm okay with that. I'm all for keeping him. Like you said, he is very moldable. A couple years ago, you did like where you had alluded to, Garrett Cole was taking him under his wing. We saw a lot more changeups, saw a lot more cutters. But the thing is with Clark Schmidt is about run support. Outside of yesterday's ball game, he's got next to no run support. He won one of his games that he won was 1-0. So we had to shut out the Angels. Outside of that, the Yankees have gotten shut out and have given up 3 runs in his losses. So it does feel very Jordan Montgomery-esque, because he's not getting that type of run support. But if he can go out there and shove. Look at it, 5 runs in the second inning. So now you can throw strikes. You can just go out there and deal.
And then another similar stat to Jordan Montgomery. These guys are like mid-3 ERA guys. Those are the types of guys you want as your 4 and your 5, right? You know, like I've been talking recently about the Yankees. If they're going to bring in a starter, it should be somebody like Merrill Kelly, who has a similar stat profile than Clark Schmidt, mid-3 ERA. He's also clutch in the postseason. So, that's the type of guy I would want to bring in here. So, I mean, if Clark Schmidt wasn't the Yankee right now, I'm sure he'd be a pitcher that they'd be talking about acquiring at the deadline. That's what they got to do.
Yeah, I could see that. Because like you and I talked about, we talked about on your channel a couple of times, make sure you guys do subscribe to Jason from 161. We had talked about getting a middle of the road type starter where you don't need somebody that's like lights out and, you know, just somebody that can keep that rotation moving and not really skip a beat. And Clark Schmidt seems to be that. And I'm okay if he's that guy. But he needs to run support. He definitely needs to run support. In this game, you know, Goldie with 2 hits, 2 RBIs. Rice went 1 for 5 with an RBI as well. 6 total. Austin Wells 1 for 4. Wells, you know, has had a great last couple of games. He's getting hot. Volpe 1 for 4. So the bats, you know, this was the game that Jazz did get hurt as well. Jazz has been performing well, but he's starting to kind of get banged up here and there. Second game, kind of getting taken out. The neck stiffness, the groin was available today, so I'm not overly concerned. But I think this Yankee team is starting to click at the right time.
Yeah, and I do think, you know, with Jazz being a little banged up, maybe this accelerates their desire to add another infielder, right? So, like, they were going to add one without Jazz. Maybe this accelerates their willingness to add 2. Maybe they can get an infielder and get somebody like Ahmed Rosario too, or as one of the infielders, right? We talked about Rosario, positional versatility, his ability to do that. And again, like, he's a guy that I have no problem sitting Jazz for and playing Ahmed Rosario. So, because I think he can contribute in a similar way. So, and, you know, I know that they're looking for a utility guy too. Somebody who hits righty, who can play, also play the outfield and the infield. I don't know who that's going to be, but, you know, what if they got Ahmed Rosario and one of these guys? So, and that's a different look, because that you just made your bench 50% better by doing that. So, that's the way I'm looking at it too. So I'm glad that it's not serious with Jazz Chisholm, but I do think it motivates them a little bit more to add a more versatile bat to maybe 2 of them. So
yeah, IKF is starting to get a lot of love. I know you're starting to hear the same things, like he could be on the move. I wouldn't mind that. Play almost anywhere on the infield, be that emergency outfielder if you needed him to, which hopefully that's not the case. If IKF is playing in the outfield, something went really wrong. But yeah, you're gonna have to just put him all around the infield. A guy that can hit has been here. Because I don't think the Yankees need to make that grand move. Like Suarez's name is out there, Arenado's name is still out there. Those are kind of the big splash moves. I feel like the Yankees need to make that smaller move, especially with some of these bats that are heating up. You know, DJ LeMahieu, we haven't talked much about him. I personally think, you know, what he's doing as of late is kind of fool's gold, and I hope the Yankees don't hang on to that and say, okay, DJ's turned back the clock, we don't need to make any moves. But personally, I think the Yankees do need to be proactive when it comes to that. Go get a guy like Ahmed Rosario. So if DJ starts struggling, you can throw him out there. Go get a guy like IKF to give DJ a spell. That type of stuff. But yeah, what do you think about that as far as with DJ LeMahieu and what he's been doing as of late?
If I can add something to your point too, he's hitting like 280. So I can't really ask much more for DJ LeMahieu, but they put a deadline on him yesterday. So July 31st is the deadline. It's basically the same deadline as the trade deadline. He said you got to show that you can continue to produce throughout this period. Otherwise, you know, you're going to be a bench. You're not going to be a starter. We're going to be bringing in the bat one way or the other. Either that, or you're probably going to get DFA'd. So there is now an official deadline attached to DJ LeMahieu, which I understand that. And it is what it is at this point for an aging player. I could see them doing it because they're going to want to try to upgrade anywhere they possibly can. But I'm happy with the production we're getting from DJ right now. And he's a veteran. He's a great teammate. He's well respected. So I hope he continues to stay productive. I do.
Yeah. As long as the Yankees continue to be aggressive with it, like I said, my biggest fear would be that DJ overperforms his numbers now. Then the trade deadline comes and he's like, okay, I'm safe. And then all of a sudden reverts back to the DJ that we know. And then we're trying to get in a playoff run. But as long as the Yankees put a clock on it and they're like, dude, the clock is ticking on you, I'm okay with that. Because, Reyes is not long for this team, even though he was the hero of today's ball game. Reyes is not long for this team. Peraza, we had heard rumors that he could be getting shopped sooner rather than later. That there were talks with, Pittsburgh that a lot of other sources were saying, and that kind of fell through. Maybe you retouch on that. If I'm the Yankees, maybe I go, you want Peraza and you want another prospect, maybe you give us a arm and you send back IKF. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, something like that. You can get an IKF and a David Bednar trade here for Peraza and someone else. That could be a worthwhile venture for both teams, right? So, and I do think Reyes is probably going to be the fall guy once Stanton comes back. I think that's just the inevitable move that's going to happen. Probably now that he's probably going to get activated. My guess is he's going to get activated for the Boston series. So I think Reyes will be unfortunately the fall guy at that point. But that makes sense too. I mean,
yeah,
Stanton is like fire in Boston. He terrorizes the Red Sox in Fenway Park. So I can understand that move. So and that's probably the only guy I would move for him. But I still think Yankees are probably going to look to trade Reyes and Peraza to get some type of value back for him, for these guys, instead of just moving on from them. So whether it's a prospect, whether it's an arm for the bullpen, I still think they're going to try to trade them first.
Yeah. The comment from the boy Wonder says he completely disagrees. The Yankees need to make an impact at the trade deadline. There are different ways to make an impact. Like it doesn't just mean going out there and getting the big name of an Arenado or Suarez. You can do the little things and still make an impact. The worst way that you can do is not do anything. Just adding arm. You can't look at this team and say, okay, we're good to go as is. You have to continue to add and continue to get better. You also have to take considerations, luxury tax, like 110%. You go get yourself a Suarez, he's going to be costly. He's going to make double of what it is. You go get yourself an Arenado, that's going to be costly as well, unless you turn around and flip a Marcus Stroman, which is still going to be costly. That's all stuff that people have to realize as well. You have to make the moves, but they also have to be somewhat cost friendly. Rosario's not getting paid much. IKF's not getting paid much. So the Yankees would probably gladly eat those type of things. And I do think the Yankees are going to be very proactive, but I think they're going to be proactive when it comes to the arms, because our bullpen as of late is starting to get taxed. Like, maybe, Marcus Stroman's on the way back. I'm not really banking too much on him as far as, he might be in the bullpen. But from what we've seen as of late, he could be a guy that in blowouts, one way or another, comes in and gives us innings. Because how many times in the last week and a half that we've seen blowouts and Boone is blowing through the bullpen? Like, we don't need that. We need our bullpen to get some rest, because since that Dodger series, our bullpen has kind of been out of whack. We have seen a lot of situational at-bats, situational pitching here and there. So it kind of seems like it's all out of whack. Some of these guys are getting gassed. They just sent down Hedrick. They brought up Scott Efros. I can't trust him to pitch an inning. He might get hurt as soon as he steps on the mound, so he might be getting sent down. Alan Wines is a guy that I'm like, yo, bring him up. 29-year-old journeyman. He's playing pretty well. Bring him up. You telling me he can't give us better innings than Ian Hamilton is?
And exactly. And like in something to remember too, Ryan Yarbrough was the kind of security blanket for Carlos Carrasco. He was the lefty long relief guy. And then when Carrasco left, Yarbrough took his spot. We don't have anybody to take Yarbrough's spot. So this is where Stroman can come into play and be a long relief guy or something like that. And the Yankees, the fact is, if they want to trade him, they're going to have to let him play. They're going to have to give him an opportunity to pitch and show that he's healthy and show that he can get dudes out. So they're going to have to do that in order to have any trade value. So that has to happen too. But I'm with you there too. I think adding an arm or two at the bullpen higher leverage type of guys in the back end of the game who can get guys out. Remembering the fact too that there's a 3-batter minimum for all these guys.
Yep.
So whoever we bring in's got to be productive, right? Not walk 2 of the 3 guys that he faces. We've had that too much of that recently, so which puts the next guy at a disadvantage. So we need guys that can get dudes out with inducing weak contact or striking guys out. And velocity is good, but it's only going to get you so far. We just need to be productive fits in the bullpen.
Yeah. And I'm all for a guy like Ryan Yarbrough. I think Ryan Yarbrough has been a very valuable piece to this team in every role he's been. I'm okay with sending him back to the bullpen and giving you that additional lefty arm because I don't trust Tim Hill at this point in time. Like I wanted Tim Hill back on this team. I'm not going to even sugarcoat it because of what he did for us last year. But that was last year. This year, even though like it doesn't, reflect on his ERA, how many times is he coming in a big situation to put out fires and he can't? He's given up the big hit. It might not go on his stats, but it's going on other people's stats. He hasn't been able to come in and get out the lefty because he's a situational type guy. We need a guy that can just go out there and shove, regardless of if it's a righty or a lefty. I think Tim Hill and Ian Hamilton, come post trade deadline, I don't see them on this team that much longer because Ian Hamilton is just like he was another guy that I wanted back as well. He's totally started to shit himself. Jake Cousins, you can't rely on him. He just got a setback as well. I do like his slider, but he's got another setback. We don't know, but the Yankees do have to be very aggressive when it comes to arms, and I do trust that they will because we do every trade deadline we acquire some sort of arm. Yep. Mark Leiter Jr. last year, the year before that, Middleton. The Yankees will be aggressive when it comes to that. You know as well as I do. I love Jake Bird. I'd go out there acquire him real quick from the Rockies. He's got some good stuff. But yeah, I think the Yankees need to add that another infielder, get some more arms. As far as I would like a middle of the rotation type guy, but if Stroman can come in and earn his spot, some out of the bullpen and earn, like if one of the guys, needs a rest, something like that, earn his spot, maybe help his trade value, maybe that'll help us out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine. Like if Stroman stays and he's productive, I'm cool with that. So right now the Yankees have about $11-12 million of wiggle room until they match what they had last year in terms of payroll. So the way I'm looking at it is you get a Jake Bird, you get somebody like a Merrill Kelly or another reliever, or you get a Jake Bird, another reliever, and Ahmed Rosario. You're still in that payroll parameter, and you still got some guys that are. These are strategic moves that they can do to get better, in my opinion, instead of an impact. Because I don't know who would be available. It's going to be a real needle mover for this team. So like, who? I don't know if Nolan Arenado is going to be a needle mover. No idea. So who else? I'd rather have Jake Bird, shoving the back end of the bullpen. He's got 3 controllable years because of the fact is if we lose Devin Williams and we lose Luke Weaver, we're going to need to make up for that somehow. So I do think Cashman bringing in somebody with controllable years is a good idea. So I'm okay adding Kyle Finnegan or Ryan Helsley too, but at the same point, one of these guys should have at least a couple of controllable years beyond this. And Jake Bird's got 3 arbitration years still ahead of him. So
yeah.
I like that.
Or Felix Bautista, like we talked about, because the Orioles are there.
Yep.
They stink too. So and here's the thing, we talked about this on your channel. There's not a lot of teams that are going to be selling. So everybody's going to be trying to think the same thing we are. So it's going to be tough. That's why the Yankees do got to be proactive. So that was the first 2 games. So this game right here tonight, interesting to say the least. Dude, what was your reaction when you saw this lineup? Because I woke up from a nap pissed because I'm like, dude, you can't afford after Saturday traumatized me. Stop with the punt lineups. Like, dude, it's in the middle of the season. Like, here's the thing with Aaron Boone. This is my biggest gripe, right? I call Aaron Boone a double dipper. Aaron Boone's like that guy at the restaurant where you get yourself a chip, takes the first bite, and he's like, yo, this sauce is good. I got a double dip. Stop double dipping all these guys with the same days off. Can you spread it out more? Like, dude, like when I woke up into this lineup, I'm like, Grisham back at the top. I'm like, no, immediately. I'm like, shit. I'm like Rice, Goldschmidt, Bellinger, Dominguez, Volpe, Escara, Reyes, and LeMahieu. I'm like, something's missing. What is missing on this team? Aaron Judge not playing today? Like, what the hell? Like, this against Seth Lugo, this felt like the ultimate punt lineup. Luckily, the Yankees were able, despite a rain delay, were able to overcome that because of the performance of Mr. Will Warren. 5 2/3 yet again. This is another performance that the rain has kind of stopped Will Warren. Can he stop raining on his parade? Because this man was going out there having himself a good game. Only 4 Ks, a lot of soft contact. They allowed him to come out there right after the rain delay and give us 2 extra outs. He didn't get the W today, but ultimately he's the reason why we won this game. What were your thoughts on Will Warren, and what were your thoughts on this lineup that we just happened to squeak out a victory?
When I put out the lineup early, man, so many pissed off fans, so many pissed off comments. This lineup sucks. And then I just like, oh my God. And so I said, please win this game. Please win this game. If you sit Judge, Jazz, and Austin Wells in the same day, that's a recipe for potentially losing the game. And thank the heavens they held us down together and they won 1-0. So, and kudos to the defensive stars, Anthony Volpe and Pablo Reyes. So, and kudos to Devin Williams shoving in the ninth inning and shut these dudes down. So, and I say this a lot, like when the bats are either not in the lineup or the bats aren't hitting, the pitching steps up. When the pitching's down, the bats step up. So these guys are backing each other one way or the other. And tonight was just there wasn't many opportunities, but the Yankees took advantage of the stumble, helmet fall off, and fall into home plate and score. That was the run. That's it. So then on a Paul Goldschmidt liner to first base, which went over Jack's head, like that was it. That was the run.
It was like some angels in the outfield type shit. Like it really was. Like you want to talk about falling into a run? That's exactly what happened. Pablo Reyes rounding third. Rojas was sending him, trips over something. The turf monster loses his helmet, goes back to third, runs home and scores. My call, I was like, because it looked like it hit off the glove of the first baseman. I'm like, okay, it's trickling. I'm like, Reyes is going. I'm like, yo, you know what? Go ahead and go, because in this type of game, you know, it's a difference maker. And then all of a sudden, the throw was a lot closer. I'm like, what happened? Because he fell. And then, of course, they got to show all the stumbles, all the hilarious stumbles, and that's just going to be one of them. But this was the Pablo Reyes game. He had a good play defensively, got a good sack bunt, even though we didn't do anything with it. But ultimately, his aggressive scored. This might be the only game he helps us win, and I'll take it.
Me too. And if this is his last game, he goes out on top. So that's what I'm looking for too. So I'll take it. It was just one of the unsexiest win ever, but I'll take it. I'm cool with that. Totally cool. They just swept the Royals. So, and that's their ninth series out of the last 11, which they've won.
Yep.
That's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And what are they, 17 now, 18 games over 500? I'll take that. Any day. Give it to me. Let's go.
Best record against teams over 500 as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's not to be slept on. And I'm going to tell you this. I said this earlier today. After this Boston series, which I don't count Boston as a good team, but you know, Boston does play us tough. Our schedule gets really light, dude. Like, our schedule gets really light. Now, you're going to have, like, teams like the Cubs, Phillies, Tigers, all mixed in there occasionally. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Cubs will be right before the deadline. But our schedule, we face a lot of White Sox, Twins, Orioles, Rays. We face a lot of bottom-dwelling Nationals. Like, we can't afford to play down to the competition. We got to get fat off this last part of the schedule. Our toughest part of the schedule was now. And unlike in years past, we've exceeded expectations because there were a lot of people that didn't think we'd be here, especially after this stretch that we had. And this stretch was tough with 2 West Coast trips. We've gotten through the hard part of the schedule. Now the Yankees need to show up and start smacking people. Yeah,
what are they 6-3 on the West Coast trip? 7-2 on the West Coast trip? I'll take that. And again, like you said too, August and September is pretty light schedule. So it's now time for the Yankees to pile on the wins, right? And put as much distance as they possibly can in the division, right? And put themselves in a position to rest a couple guys here and there when it makes sense. So, but you're right too. They just got through one of the roughest parts of the season, and extremely well. And they're without Cole, without Luis Hill, without Stanton. They still did this without these guys. So, you know, that's well played games by the players, well coached by the coaches. So, got to give them credit where it's due. I mean, do they make the right decisions all the time? No. But the fact is, they're in first place, 18 games over 500. I'm happy.
Yeah. Speaking of Stanton, he should be back sooner rather than later.
Yep.
Maybe next week at the earliest, possibly. we'll see. I mean,
yeah, we're hearing it. I mean, we're like he punishes the Red Sox in Fenway. So all signs are pointing towards him being activated for this series at some point.
mhm.
Whether it's tomorrow, because they play tomorrow, right? So there's
Yep.
no games up. They play 16 straight games, 16
Yep.
straight days. So there's no break, and he might be activated tomorrow. He might be activated the next day. I don't know, but I can see him being activated. And if not this series, then the next series against the Eagles back at home.
Yeah, which was another reason why I think today was a punt lineup. Aaron Boone saw that we got the series, and he's like, let me try to fit these guys a day off when I can, because 16 straight games is insane. Like, we'll probably get, and knowing the weather, we'll probably get one of these rained out at some point in time.
Probably.
Because that's just how it is. But 16 straight games is kind of insanity. But luckily it didn't come back to bite us at the end of the day. Like, you don't ever want to, my biggest thing is I don't ever want to give up games, because you never know how important they're going to be later in the season. You don't know if it's going to be the difference between home field advantage or having to face the Tigers in Comerica. We don't know. So every game is important. Luckily the Yankees were able to handle business today and get the job done.
Yep. Yeah, and you know the crazy stat with Comerica? Which Yankee pitcher has the best stats in Comerica? Marcus Stroman.
I still don't. I don't want him. I don't want him facing them in the playoffs. Nah, I'm good.
I have a feeling the Tigers are going to try to add somebody like Freddie Peralta.
Mhm.
That's. I mean, they worry me more than any other team. Tigers. So at the deadline,
Mhm.
so I can see them being aggressive. They have the assets and the balls to do it. Because I have a feeling they know too. Like, okay, we're on to something here. We got to try to make a serious run at this. I have a feeling they're going to try to make a big piece of the deadline.
Yeah, they were my dark horse team to make a move, especially how hot they finished last year, and they're not playing. They beat us in our only matchup. Granted, we get to face them again and see how things go, but you know, in a three, and well, we won't face them in a three game in a DS, but if we face them in a CS, man, having to go against Schoolboy a couple of times is no joke. But hopefully by then, Luis Hill will be back. Hopefully, you know, this team is clicking. Carlos Rodon has had a very good year, despite a shaky start his last time, but Rodon has been very good. Fried has been, you know, damn near Cy Young, should probably get that. Aaron Judge is the MVP. This team looks locked and loaded right now. And like I said, we just went through one of our hardest parts of the schedule.
Yeah, and I do think, on paper, I think the Yankees have a better shot than the Tigers, but that's June, not September. The deadline still has to come. Pieces will be added, pieces will be moved. So I do think the Tigers will be better after the deadline than they are now.
Yeah.
How much better? We'll see.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, but this was a nice clean series sweep, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially if they get hot. The way the Royals are looking, they might miss the playoffs at this point. But if they do get hot and you face them again, this is the type of statement win you want. You want to go out there and shut down their best player. One hit in this series, you know, kudos to the Yankee pitching.
Yeah. And just like the Yankees, you know, they did a pretty good job of shutting down Jose Ramirez when they played Cleveland. So shutting down the team's best players is good. They for the most part, neutralized Rafael Devers. He got a couple of shots on some, like, you know, just some random pitches, which is, you know, he does have a tendency to punish the Yankees, but they neutralized him for the most part. So, and I want to see them I want to see them neutralize Trout and Taylor Ward and the Angels. It's like I want to see them neutralize, you know, these guys in Boston in the next series too. And so, I think the Yankees are positioning themselves to neutralize the team's best players each time they play them, which is one reason I think the lineup is so strategically different each day. And they put themselves in a position to kind of figure out how they want to neutralize these guys one way or the other. So, and it's working, so I don't want to mess with it too much.
That's kind of annoying me, though. Like the inconsistencies of a different lineup every day. Yeah. Paul Goldschmidt's our best leadoff hitter. Statistically, keep him up there. If it was up to me, Goldschmidt at first, Rice right behind him, because Ben Rice can't buy a hit, dude. Like, I don't know how many times he is hitting the ball.
Yeah.
100 miles per hour off the bat, right at somebody. He had 2 potential hits today. One that almost left the park, that was ran down in center field, and one that was knocked down by the first baseman. Rice can't buy a hit, and I think he's starting to get frustrated because you can see it on his face where it's like, dude, like, really, come on. But I would go Goldschmidt, Rice, Judge, Bellinger. When Stanton gets back, throw him in there as well. Jazz, Dominguez, Volpe, Wells, DJ LeMahieu / Peraza until you upgrade third base. That'd be the lineup I start throwing out there every day because consistency is key. It hasn't come back to bite us in the ass like it has in years past with the switching of the lineups, but this lineup top to bottom is a lot deeper, especially if we can get some production from Austin Wells at the bottom of the order and Anthony Volpe in the middle. This lineup looks really good.
Do you think they'll still be able to get Ben Rice in 4 or 5 games a week when Stanton returns?
I think so. Because, you heard some of the reports say that they're going to start starting Rice behind the plate to alleviate that, running 3 catchers. I'm okay with that as long as it doesn't take away some at bats from JC Escarra, because I've liked what I've seen from JC Escarra.
Me too.
I love his plate discipline. He's really good at the plate and a really good catcher. Rodon likes him, frames really well, really good behind the plate. Stanton, it's going to take time. People think like as soon as Stanton comes back, he's going to find it immediately. That could be the case, but baseball has told us more often than not, it takes time. This guy hasn't had a spring training. So I could see Stanton playing 4 days a week, which leaves DHing for Rice 3 of those days. You could also play him at first base to give Goldschmidt a spell, and you can play him 1 day a week at catcher. You're going to have to find him some days, no doubt. The one thing I'm going to say is you got to start finding Dominguez every day playing time. Trent Grisham needs to stop playing every day. It's starting to bother me that he's getting everyday reps. Like, that's another guy that's taking away at bats from Ben Rice. People are like, oh, Stanton's gonna take away at bats, but right now Trent Grisham is taking away at bats from Ben Rice because Judge is having a DH and Rice is not out there.
Yep, I agree. And I think if you can find the recipe where Stanton plays 4 games a week and Rice plays 4 games a week, which is more than he usually plays, that's a good thing. And I think, Stanton, one of the things I think a good learning experience for the Yankees is don't ride him too hard when he's hot. Don't play him every day because he gets hurt at some point, right? Mm-hmm. Give him that day off once a week or once every 5 days or whatever to keep him. A day off is not going to kill a heater. If he's hot, he's hot. But you want to keep him healthy, right? And I want to keep him healthy in October when we need him the most. And I'd like to have him and Rice's bat in the lineup at the same time. And I think that's the best way to do it, right? And I agree too. Less Grisham and more Dominguez at this point too. Dominguez is more athletic. He's faster. So we could use that speed and athleticism, especially against teams that are going to be fast and more athletic too. So I love Grisham's glove. There's no doubt about it. He's elite. But I would say you could even start Dominguez and then put Grisham for defensive reasons later on in the game if you want to do that.
Like we saw earlier in the season.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. So.
But Dominguez has been solid in left field. The fact that we're not talking about him goes to show you he's doing his job. Because if he wasn't, we'd be hearing about it. It would be front line. Dominguez can't play defense. You're not hearing a peep out of him. So you're seeing that he's playing good enough defense. I saw a play today that's a little under the radar where balls hit over the third baseman's head, hustling to it, keeping a double to a single. Those are the little things that keep the momentum, keeps the double play in order, stuff like that. Now, granted, Trent Grisham's in this lineup, made 2 great diving plays yesterday. I could appreciate that for what it's worth, but offensively, he's, he got a hit today, but he's giving us next to nothing, and he's getting premier at-bats at the top of the order. If, we started to see a couple times this week that he is starting to get dropped, so maybe that's the transition, but too many times, Aaron Boone is staying loyal to these overperforming veterans, and, we know Grisham's not the future. It's Jason Dominguez. You can't keep playing Grisham at the detriment of Dominguez's development.
Well, and to your point too, like he hasn't had any problem dropping Austin Wells in the lineup, but not really dropping Grisham in the lineup as much. So this is where I think I wouldn't have any problem replacing him with Dominguez at the top of the lineup. I really wouldn't. So, and I think it would just be if you get Wells in there and Dominguez and Rice. Now you have a young, athletic lineup, scrappy across the board, productive hitting, and you never really take much of an offensive dip because even Dominguez's OPS is like 750. So
742.
Yeah, his stats are solid. So it's not really much of a
little
dip.
under league average. Yep.
So It's right with it fits in with the Yankees need. And again, I think it's important for folks to keep in mind he's still a rookie, so he's still developing. So I don't expect him to be 30 and 100 right now. I don't expect him to be Jackson Merrill or some of these guys. Just let him be Dominguez. Let him keep developing. Let him keep getting better, right? Because he is contributing to this lineup. He fits in. gets along with his teammates, and he's doing his job. He's doing his job.
Absolutely. I like to see Dominguez as a future leadoff guy because he's got the tools, in my opinion. He's got the speed, hasn't been caught stolen yet. The base running's there, the athleticism's there. Like I said, first, like you were saying, first full year, OPS is a little bit of below league average, only 8 points. That's not bad considering he doesn't play every day. He's got to play every day. He's got to get better from the right side, no doubt. We know his struggles from the right side, but a 246 average, 6 home runs, 29 runs scored. Like, this kid, like, he's having a good solid first year for us considering he's a part-time player.
Yeah, and if you get 15 and 60 out of him as a part-time player, that's a pretty darn good rookie season, right? And with some good defense and some clutch plays, he will be in a position, to be in contention for rookie of the year one way or the other. So, and I just, as long as they keep giving him opportunities to keep developing, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah,
they got to give him. You got to give him a chance. And the fact is, like, if Grisham's not performing, you gotta play Dominguez. You gotta play Dominguez.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of rookie of the year, before we get out of here, we'll track back to Will Warren. They put up a stat on Will Warren today that kind of shocked me, leading all rookies in strikeouts. I'm like, wow, like those couple of close double-digit strikeout games have definitely upped his numbers. I didn't expect him to be doing that. Like last year when Will Warren came up, I've never said Will Warren sucks like last year. I just said he wasn't ready. I didn't think he was ready. I think he was thrust in a position that wasn't fair to him.
Yeah.
And this year, with the second year under his belt, he is looking a lot more confident. Does he have his downs? Sure. Every rookie pitcher is going to have his downs. This is baseball. This is the MLB. It's going to happen. These guys are professionals, the best of the best. But he's shown a lot of moxie out there and has given us really good performances at time to times. It's just the only thing is he needs to have more consistency because he doesn't have blow past you, lights out stuff, but he goes up there and pitches.
He doesn't have that like ridiculous out pitch just yet.
Yeah, but, like I'm gonna throw my best, see if you can hit it.
Yep, and again, like I do have to get Garrett Cole credit because he's taking him under his wing as well, and it shows that he's rubbing off on his teammates while not pitching. So it's just, to me, it's the effect of what makes Garrett Cole special, and I think he's rubbing off on Schmidt, he's rubbing off on Warren, and I'll take that too. Warren looks a heck of a lot more composed this year than he did last year. He looked rattled last year. Looked like a deer in headlights. He doesn't look like it this year. He's rebounding from rough starts, which is good. That's a good sign for a rookie.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so we appreciate you guys, man. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe to the Ace Avenue and Jason from 161 River Ave. Before I get out of here, though, I got to get your series standout. I got to start remaking those posts. As for me, I'm going to go Devin Williams for my series standout. Devin Williams came in twice this series, and he looks confident, calling his own pitches. He looks very good up there. Came in yesterday's ball game, put out the fire, because how many times have we seen it felt like, and I listened to some other content creators, and they were like, I just felt like this game was about to be a loss yesterday. He came in, shut it down. Today comes in a 1-0 ball game and absolutely shuts it down. I had the utmost faith. So to me, Devin Williams is my series standout. What about you?
I was going to say the same thing, and he trusted his fastball tonight too. He got Jack on that last pitch with a strikeout right down the middle. And he also got him with that high outside strike that he swung at too. I knew right there he's kind of trusting his fastball again, which is one of the things I needed him to see. I needed to see in him. So, and he can throw it 98, 99. He can dial up. So if he needs to. So, and you mix that with an 82-mile-an-hour changeup, it's a pretty lethal combination. So he's also my standout. I mean, Aaron Judge is my runner-up, but Devin Williams showed me something, and he's credibly stepping into Luke Weaver's shoes right now and getting these saves and getting it done when we need him. He wasn't able to do it before. He made his adjustments. He's able to do it now. And hopefully he continues to do that.
Yep. Dude, that last at-bat to seal the game versus Caglione was a masterclass. I'm calling it, right? 2 fastballs inside, miss. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You show him the fastball. And a fastball count, you go change up. And from right there, I said he got him.
Yep.
Because now he's looking at that changeup, throws a fastball outside the zone, swinging a miss. I said at this point in time, you can throw anything because he does not know what's going to happen.
Yep.
He saw that changeup, didn't spit on it, and said, damn, I can't handle that again. Then he threw a changeup again, did foul it off. I said I wouldn't go back to the changeup. Me being a former catcher, sometimes I feel these things. I'm like, I wouldn't go back to the changeup. He goes changeup low.
Yep.
Saw it again, and then he's thinking, okay, I know the changeup. If it's low, I'm gonna let it go. And he gave him that fastball right down the middle, locked him up. GG's.
Veteran reliever taking advantage of a rookie batter, right there.
Yep.
He had the edge. We checkmated him right there, and it was good to see him. Just the way I like how he's acting composed, and he's got kind of getting that moxie back. We need that moxie back from Williams too. So, and I think once Luke Weaver comes back, we'll have a two-headed monster in the bullpen. If they add somebody to that, so be it. But I like the fact that he's stepping up when some of the other relievers are kind of struggling a little bit right now. The Wise a little bit. Some of these other guys, we need Devin Williams to step up right now. We just absolutely do, and he's doing that.
Yep.
Kudos.
Absolutely. They got a decision to make when Luke Weaver comes back, because Luke Weaver is feeling a lot better. Maybe he might be back sooner rather than later. Yankees gonna have a decision to make. Realistically, they're both really good guys that can really close out a game. Me personally, I think I'd still go with Devin Williams in the closer spot, only because he's been there, done that. One of the best closers in the league. I like Luke Weaver in that 8-7-8 role. He's a guy that can give you 2 innings, stuff like that. But it's a good situation for us to have.
Yeah, and Luke Weaver will be coming off an injury, so I would start him in the 7th or 8th, and then thankfully Devin Williams has been healthy, so I'd keep him at the 9 right now. He's starting to get this momentum. I'd keep him there. I keep him there as well.
So Neil, I got to correct you. Avatar: Last Airbender isn't a Disney product. That's a Nickelodeon Netflix product.
Come on,
you got to. Yeah, you should know that. You got, as somebody that's into pop culture, you can't get that past me. You know what I'm saying? So
try to do us dirty, dude. Come on,
Disney, man. Get out of here. Anyways, well, look, Jason, I appreciate you for popping on. Make sure you guys subscribe to Jason from 161. It is in the description. I appreciate you, man. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Really thank you guys and gals for what you do. Thank you for contributing to the channels as well. And it's you folks that make our channels better. So I thank you so much for every time you support us. It really means the world.
Absolutely. We wouldn't be here. We couldn't do this, and we wouldn't want to do this without you guys.
And
you guys are the realest.
Yep. And thank you, Ace, for having me on. I appreciate you. I love being with you too.
Thank you for coming on. Appreciate you. Good Yankees W. Let's get some momentum going into this weekend, because I absolutely hate losing to the Red Sox. I want to take 2 out of 3, but I would love a fucking sweep, because I hate this team. They're going to be coming off high. Let's smack their asses right back to, and knock their asses out. Let's go, Yankees.
We were throwing 3 lefties at them, by the way.
Oh yeah, Yarborough, Rodon, and Fried. They didn't see Fried last time.
Yep. Now they will.
So I want no hits from Devers. Let's shut them down.
You're gonna have some problems, man.
Yep.
Right.
So appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. We're out of here. As always, thank you for tuning into the Ace Avenue. I'm yours truly, the Ace, with Jason from 161. Adios.
Let's go Yankees, y'all.